Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined today by Harry Trades to talk about our lineup prioritization, which is a topic that has definitely been covered everywhere, but I don't think it's been covered since the new Sorare. Harry, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I think it does make life easier a little bit now that we have everything segregated. And I think I mentioned to you last night, no cap modes is a big yeah. It just makes things a lot easier, I think, in a lot of ways, because previous iteration of the game was you'd probably do your cap modes first, if we're being honest, right? Because that's where the easy money was. And so now that isn't a thought process. Your immediate thought is most of the time, what's my best region, my best players in that region, and kind of go from there. Of course, we still have specials and there's still some fun things going on. Like we saw, Sean do pretty well in that tacklers thing. And, you can still don't have to prioritize the regions. Like there's still some fun things outside of them to go on. But yeah, for the most part, the whole construction of your lineups has really flipped. If we're being honest, it's gone from, majority cap modes to the regions, which, yeah, it makes it easier, I think, on the whole. I don't know how you feel, but I definitely think it's easier. There's still obviously, because there's, 3 lineups in each competition, in season and classic, if you're playing both or just one. Yeah, there is that contemplation then of, where do I prioritize within division? That's another, what we'll touch on it today, but that's another thing in itself, right? It's never mind what competition you're playing, is what division am I playing within that competition, right? It gets a bit deeper than that. So yeah, I don't know how you feel. What's your thoughts?
I think it is easier than it used to be. And I also spend more time on them now, which I didn't really expect. Maybe I don't think I'm like taking it more seriously, but I do weigh risks a lot more. Like the possibility of getting relegated from Division 1 like weighs heavily on my lineup builds. And that's like the opposite of the confidence that you should have in your lineups. But like, we'll get into like all of that, because I do think that part of the game, which I think a lot of people, I feel like people kind of enjoy the promotion and relegation aspect of the game, and at the same time are like, oh, divisions are stupid, which like we need one for the other. So we'll get into that. Anyway, thank you to everyone for coming in. So Rare, So Spursy said mine is all dependent on how good the Spurs matchup is, which I'm sure none of us could see coming. As that is the bulk of my gallery, and then I work from there. Major NFT and Bob Franklin on the podium, so congratulations to you three. Ben Johnson said Cap 200 is my number one pick this week. Have you tried to build a Cap 200 lineup, Harry?
I sneaked in early into the lineup build. I didn't get a 5 in, but like I know I have not really good, but I have like a good goalie that's like L15 or like 27 from Contender, who I always use in the specials now. And yeah, that fits. Like I use him in 270 and he was not good enough for 270. So like 200 is my ballpark for that. And yeah, no, I'll definitely get a nice little sneaky team in there, whether it pops or not. But it's kind of fun. Like I don't mind the. And there's a star rare. I didn't look in. I'm guessing there's a star rare. I've seen a star super rare as well. So,
ooh,
yeah,
wow. Yeah. All right. Tom Brimson said I typically tend to surround 2 or 3 players that score well with ones that don't, which feels a bit suboptimal. DM Star said we are in the Matrix. Someone on Twitter stated that the Mbappe challenge success means people want common comps back with boxes for prizes. What is Rivals then? I think Rivals is so much better than this Mbappe comp. Like, it's not even a question.
Yeah, different ballpark, isn't it?
Yeah.
Different game.
Stefan, what's up? Sorare Holland, Sorare Burrows, Sorare Juju. Carol finally promoted all remaining D4s in rare. Let's go. Mike Baston, what's up? Scosmo, thanks for coming in. Walking with Laird soon. Sean not available then. Had to get Harry on instead. Oh, is that a walking joke? I get it. Harry, nothing gives it away that somebody won a competition or is in line for a huge prize than someone commenting hashtag when rewards. Hoodwink, congratulations. Excited for your, what do we have? An hour and 54 minutes before you can open it. Ian said, I put my best players in my top priority team, then curse them over the weekend. That's a bummer. Nep, what's up? Pepteta, Daniel, who is claiming he's second after Nep, despite being like 28th. Let's see here. Brad Craig. Hi, Laird. Can you pass this on? When using the lineup builder earlier, it was incorrectly allowing me to put Marco Carnesecchi in a U23 lineup. I only caught it when it failed export. Fun fact, Marco Carnesecchi's birthday, July 1.
Yeah, I was going to say he has a funky birthday, doesn't he?
On the actual date, which I thought we fixed, but clearly we didn't. Craig, if you could actually pass this along using support@soraredata.com, that's actually much easier than me remembering it for the next 2 hours. Anyway, Paul said I prioritize cash comps and then I just hope I manage to scrape a few boxes. Misaki said, to be honest, outside of Division 1, you have to score awfully to get relegated, so you can still take plenty of risks. That's partially true, I think. That's more true than it is not. I'll put it that way. It's a really weird way to agree with somebody. Yes, but what's up? Sorare Hywell? Hello?
Howell.
Howell?
Yeah. Or Howell is like kind of the English way of saying it, but Howell is how we'd say it in Welsh.
Is it Welsh?
Yeah, it is a Welsh name. Yeah.
So how am I pronouncing this?
Howell is like Howell.
No,
like
I don't want the English. I want the Welsh.
Okay. Howell.
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 Right.
Yeah.
It's in there now. I got Sorare Cymru in there, and now I've got Howell.
He was impressed with that. I was watching that stream back, and he was like, and you said it perfectly, and I was like, get in.
Yeah. All right. Anion said I needed this episode 2 hours ago. Fabian said I tried 200 in a lineup builder and found a rare goalkeeper with 26 points and an A rating. You just love to see it. Love it. Jeff C, what's up? So Rare Soul. That was a painful agreement. It was a painful agreement. Yeah. It's yeah. Anyway, thank you to everybody for coming in. If you could please like the stream right away. If you haven't, no reason to wait to the end. When you know you like it, now you just kind of expect it. But anyway, Harry. So what you said earlier, I think, is exactly how I felt. I would open up the lineup builder, super rare cap 240. Let's get some easy money. Rare 240. Let's get some easy money. And then I kind of like went from there. I probably went to All-Star Rare Pro Plus, whatever it was. Like that's how I played. And the game is way different now with the, like, it feels like it should be easier. Like all your cards, like we're all just playing regionals. And so I feel like the difficulty that we used to have with when we had regionals with All-Star was like, do I want to take my best cards from the regionals and put them in the All-Star, and then like my regional lineups aren't as great? And the answer usually was yes. Like All-Star was like where you wanted to go. We don't have that now. And yet I feel like the lineup builds may be easier. And it maybe actually, instead of which cards you're playing now, like you're not spending as much time deciding which cards you're playing, but actually where you are going to play them. And we have seen some like really good rewards in the specials. We've also seen ones that like were not so great. So we're kind of in this weird middle ground of like, oh wow, there's a special, but like, is it going to be really that great? And that's where I find myself that I've basically been not ignoring the specials, but I certainly have not prioritized them. Sean, who won the Tacklers Unique and Super Rare, and he was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about it. He clearly thought some about it. I don't know if he like prioritized. Like, I don't think he took players that he was going to play in higher priority lineups and put them there. But obviously he took some time to be like, yeah, this guy tackles a lot, so I'll play him. Do you look at prize pools before you look at like how strong your cards are for those prize pools?
Yeah, I'd say not only prize pools, I'd say head count still matters to me a little bit. And that was evident this morning actually in this midweek, where my best goalie for the midweek was Trubin. Like, could go into under 23, could go into the Champions League pot. And classic wise, I wasn't playing in the season. So, I kind of looked this morning, I was speaking to Ian, shout out to Ian in the chat, but we were kind of looking through and it said, well, I saw that there was like, I don't know where I ended on, but it was 3,500 at one point in the rare classic Champions League competition. And it was basically a Trubin and a Real Madrid stack, which is like, it punch, like it might
feels
do
good.
something. Yeah, it feels good. You've still got Bayern to worry about, Celtic, etc., etc. Like I'm not like in a world of my own there. But yeah, head count, let's call it 4,000. I think it might have ended up on. I don't know, but I'm sure you can correct me. But it was definitely 3.5. And so I looked into, my under 23s, and two of the main pieces in that Champions League team would have been, Vinny and Trubin, which can, of course, be good under 23 pieces. And so it was a case of like, well, do I fight against, 300 players in classic D1 under 23 with my two main pieces alongside the other three, which we can get into if we need, or, play the Champions League comp. Now, there's obviously caveats to all that in that you can win Champions League cards, right? There's more cards on offer. There's tier 5s. There's boxes. There's obviously boxes in under 23. But like a 10x less competition, allowing me to play basically, to be fair, I'm looking at my under 23 lineup now, and it would actually, the whole team would go into Champions League, but that wouldn't have been the team I would have went in with, if that makes sense. Very close to it. Vinny, Rodrigo, Trubin, and the defender midfielder would have been negligible. And so, you know, I feel like I would be doing my gallery a disservice, really. And like, why do I need to play against 10x the amount of users with a similar team, and, you know, compared to playing against 300? Okay, because like there's about 300 in D1 under 23 classic. Obviously, this, if that makes sense. 312, I think it is. 305.
Sorry. So which one did you end up playing?
I went under 23.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I'm sitting here the whole time thinking you went the Champions League, and I'm like, there were 10 times more in U23.
Yeah, over 10 times more. So it's just like, if the champion, it obviously depends what card you have, right? But if I had like a completely different team in that Champions League team, like the outfield for Trubin was the same, then, you know, maybe did that sway me? Like, say if I had, I don't know, a Kane, Dembele, a Kimmich, like it might have changed it, right? It all depends on the strength of your cards in that given game week, in that matchup. But for, you know, for what I wanted, for what, you know, I wanted to play up against, I've got to fancy myself with a similar team in both in the comp with 10x less players. It's just like, it's just basic math, really. Like, I just don't need that stress of playing against 10x more. I don't need it because, you know, I can avoid it. Now, that's not the, like, if Trubin wasn't under 23, I obviously couldn't avoid it. And so, yeah, it not only am I, you know, worried about what the prize pools, or, you know, thinking about the prize pools, it's head count for me is still important within divisions. And we know like how it works with the pyramid and stuff, like, you know, the higher divisions have less players in them. But especially for these midweeks where like we have like funky specials and, you know, cards can fit into different places than usual on a weekend. I still think, like, I'd be interested to know like how well we can actually look at the data. I'm sure on Sorare data, but, you know, some of the big under 23 cards, are they played in under 23 this midweek, or they're going to be scattered? But I just like to know, you know what's played in where.
Do you consider the total number of rewards that are available in each, or is it more just if you win?
Yeah, I've got to be looking at, minimum like top 10 realistically, right? Like top 8 is a tier 2 basically in Div 1 under 23. There's cash in this comp where there's not in the Champions League comp. So you've got to kind of look at that maybe and go, well, you know, there's some raw ether or raw cash if you really need, if you do punch really highly. There's only 1 star rare compared to maybe, I'm going to assume 3 in the Champions League comp. So obviously the rewards are, you know, quote unquote better in that Champions League comp. They're going to be. But do I need to put myself at risk of 10x the competition? I just don't think that, you know, I don't think that outweighs. Like if there was cash with it, I know it's a classic comp, but, you know, if there was like some big cash, that's obviously where the in season is, then it makes more sense. But like, because there's not, I can fancy myself trying to win that under 23 comp. Whereas in Champions League, I'm like barely swimming. Like everyone's going to have a good lineup at the end of the day, where there is going to be good lineups in under 23, but there's just less of them. And I prefer to be in that pool. I
tried to pull up the impact players, but it's only been 2 hours since the game started. So yeah, those take a while to calculate. Brad here said, I always look at prize pools first. Anyone who doesn't puts themselves at a disadvantage. I will confirm, I almost never look at them.
You don't like doing that, do you?
I really don't. I'll get into that why. But he said the percentage chance of winning the same tier card can vary wildly from comp to comp, which I think the issue that I have with, and it tends to be more the ones that have so many entries, and maybe the Champions League one is a little different because people with Champions League cards probably have like better cards overall, although there are some like pretty bad teams in the Champions League this year. But it feels like for like the top tacklers or the cap 270 or whatever they have, that there are a lot, like it's a lot of people's leftovers. And so like number of lineups, and we don't know how many are like essentially dead as the game week starts until the game week starts. But that's why I try, like in your instance, I think it makes sense that it's literally a 10x difference. Mm-hmm. But like once the number gets so high and everyone's like, oh, there's only a 1% chance to win. And it's like, I'm not saying it's actually 20%, but it's more than 1. if you have like a realistic lineup.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I don't always like I don't always have a realistic lineup. Like I also have like throwaway lineups that I'll throw in. But I don't know. I can't remember a situation where I would have made a different decision knowing the prize pool. That's the way I put it.
I think it's easy. Like I do agree with whoever said the prize pool thing. Ben, I think Brad, I think it was.
Yeah.
That like, yeah, you are kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage in some way, but I think it boils down to like if you have in-season cards, you're looking at you're going to be building your in-season lineups first. Like that has to be the priority. That's the highest EV. That's where the cash is won. Compared to classic, I think if you have both, if you obviously don't have in-season cards, and it's not even a question, is it? But like every weekend, the first things I do is I build my in-season teams first. Like that comes first for me. And then it's the best classic card that comes into that if I need to, 4-1. And then it's, build out and down from there. But yeah, I think as long I'm only satisfied if like I don't have D1s in, like for say Challenger, for example, rare. I don't have 3 in-season D1s. I have 1. So like I'm really like my priority is how like I need that D1 team to be as best as it possibly can. Whatever happens beyond that, like it still matters, but I just need that 5 to be as perfect as possible. And the same for under 23 or wherever. But I'm kind of I kind of like looking back because we've only had say 4 or 5 legit weeks, haven't we, so far of the season or whatever. And like, there's a trend with what I'm seeing in my gallery in that like I'm having more success in a way in super rare boxes wise than I am rare, like pound for pound. Like I'm putting out 4 super rare lineups. I'm getting like 3 boxes every, like I'm at like a 75%, 50% sort of win ratio with my boxes, like
awesome.
Challenger and under 23. And so obviously I'm putting out more rare lineups. So this, it's harder. I say harder to win, but it's harder to get that ratio, right?
Sure.
Just less supers. But yeah, it's one of them where like I'm just kind of like I have like a mental note that okay, like week in week out, under 23 super rare, Challenger in season super. Like I've got a mental note of like where I'm getting semi success already, and it's just like keep sort of bashing down the door there, and then everything else can kind of if it wants to get into that category at some point with a bit of luck, it might. But it's all about for me just like making sure that where you're already getting success, you don't stop there. Like you have to kind of keep doubling down realistically, whether that means improving the team or just prioritizing it like you keep doing, like because don't change what's kind of not broken or whatever. So it's like that's kind of what I've been doing. And we don't have that many weeks to go off so far, but I'm just kind of going off what we have, and that's doubling down where I'm strongest or where I'm having the most success in building my lineups like really early.
So I completely agree. And like I've been running hot in contender recently, particularly rare, like classic and in season, that I like as soon as I go to a game week to build my lineups, I'm going to in season contender rare immediately. And then I do classic, like contender is just where my better cards are, or they've just been playing really well lately. And so I'm like, let's keep this going. The tricky part that I came up to this past game, was it this game week? Yeah. So I tend to be a little more, I don't want to even say aggressive, risky when I have like a lower division lineup, even like Division 2. And I think, I don't know if it was Rasko Masaki said it earlier, but like it's hard to get relegated from D2. And I say that I think I actually did get relegated from D2 this past week. But anyway, I had 3 contender classic Division 1 entries this past game week, and it like legitimately stressed me out. And it was like, that should be good. Like that's what you're supposed to hope for, that you have like 3 opportunities to win the best prize in whatever competition you're in. And I was building it and I was like, I don't want to take a risk anywhere. And it like, I ended up, all of them stayed. So like, that was fine. I actually don't think, literally none of them won a card, but they all stayed. They all won a box. And so I was like, all right, like that was a success. And so then I kind of like go out from there. But the issue that I will come across, and I think it's actually happening this coming weekend, that I don't really have a great contender in season lineup. Like the matchups just aren't there. And it's like, I will probably still enter the best I can in D1, but I'm like nervous to do it because it's like, it's one thing to prioritize where you want to play because of the rewards. Like, oh, you just go where the best rewards are. But like, if you show up with a bad lineup, basically, like not only do you not win anything, you're also getting relegated. Like you're punished next week too. And so I find that I used to build my lineups when there was no promotion and relegation. It was like, all right, I'll just throw the best I have in this comp and I'll go for it. And now it's like, do I really want to put those cards in? And cap 200 is not helping me at all. Like there are the previous game weeks, there were outs that they gave us. Like if you don't want to risk your Division 1 entry, like we have this global comp. It might not be all-star, it might be some sort of cap mode, but there was something else. You didn't have to worry about relegation. And it was like, all right, yeah, I'll play my cards there. And I talked to a lot of people who have a lot of contender cards and never play them in contender. Like they're like, contender cards are for the global comps because they can do really well and the prizes are so much better. And I find those are the types of users that really focus on top prizes. And it's like, no, I can turn my contender cards into Jude. And it's like, you probably are not going to. And so it's like, are they actually hurting themselves in contender where they could possibly be churning rewards with the hope of landing a prem card from cap 270 or whatever it is?
Mm-hmm. I mean, is there enough, like, a reference in those contender galleries, you said play like all-stars and all-stars similar to that. Now, like, is there enough comps to do that really? Like, I know we have 3 entries in 270, say we did, for the weekend, and we might have 3 entries for 200 this weekend or whatever. But yeah, I think you're doing yourself a disservice there. That's just my opinion. But like, surely if you have contender cards, you might not have many of them, so that's why those people might only be playing those global comps. But surely if you have like an abundance of them, and you like refusing to play contender, I don't really like. I get what you mean. Like they're prioritizing the global comp, but that's living in the past a little bit. Like, let's be real. Like the whole like use Cecilia to win Jude or win Mbappe, like that is like a thing of the past. Like where that used to be a weekly aim. Like that used to be the thing. That was why the global all-star competition was so OP, because you could just use smashes from elsewhere to win some of the champ cards. That only exists now in under 23. It doesn't exist anywhere else outside of the specials. So, but even at the specials, you're up against it. Where before you could really, even though you only had 1 entry every weekend, it was like the main goal for everyone. Whereas now, like, it's just, I don't know. I get people who are doing that, but surely you'd want to grind boxes from contender as well to make your contender lineup, your contender cards even better, more powerful than they already are, which then can help you in global comps, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of the trying to play like the old Sorare, that I'm going to use these contender stars to win. I was going to call them real stars. Like, and I don't think there's anything bad with that. I think the negative is like this weekend with cap 200, and like you're not going to play Cecilia and Barco and Wendell and all of these guys because like you can play like 2 of them. And so I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just feel like you're putting yourself up against significantly tougher competition. Now again, I don't want to like counter or contradict what I said earlier, that I think a lot of the lineups in these global comps are dead lineups, because I think there are. But there are absolutely people who are like, I'll just play my contender guys. And usually it's people who had contender cards like before the change. Like nobody went out and bought contender cards to play these like all-star comps or these, global comps. But I think there's just like a thought that like, yes, I'm going to win more valuable cards. And a lot of the stuff that like Peter Stoyanov has been talking about with Essence has kind of exposed just like how much more valuable champ cards are than challenger, and how much more challenger, like contender cards are like the cheapest cards on the platform. And so like if you win a star contender, you're just like, oh, great, I can buy like a quarter of a Bundesliga card. But I think I don't know and in season is a whole nother conversation. But it just does seem like the use of certain cards like just in global comps is like you still have a foot in the past. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Yeah, is that on them because they don't want to adjust? There's obviously going to be a magnitude of different reasons why they're still doing that. Maybe living in the past might be a part of it, and I get it. Like I do get it. There was some good days, but all good things come to an end, and we just have them in dribs and drabs now, and that's just part of it.
Yeah. Brad said, I like beating dead horses, so I'll take this opportunity to bitch about divisions again. A game mechanism that discourages you from playing is so stupid. I don't want to make it sound like this is discouraging me from playing. I will still play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I can't see there's an instance where like you don't put in a lineup in contender. Like say if you had 3 contender D1s, like you said in Classic this weekend, and none of them got relegated, let's just assume, because they did they or they didn't, right? No. Right. So this upcoming weekend, I know you have an abundance of cards. There's no way you don't put all 3 in. I don't care how strong those lineups are or not. I'd be shocked if you just left one on the table, right?
Heavens no.
Exactly, yeah. Because you just
YOLO into some new cards, man.
Well, all that, yeah. You can do that when you finish second in contender in season. But like, I don't know. I just think I don't know what Brad's referring to there. Does he mean like actually not playing? Is that what we don't know, but I'm sure.
I think yeah. The thought is because I don't have like a very competitive lineup that I won't play, which like I will. What actually does come down to it is the more likely scenario of do I take some of my in-season cards? Like if I don't have a great in-season lineup and I don't have a great Classic lineup, do I combine them? Obviously, I'll have to play that in Classic to like have a great lineup there. And like that's like I'll have to decide that. That's part of the game now. Like,
right.
Am I going to use some in-season cards in Classic because I don't necessarily have like elite in-season setup for this weekend? Now I have to look because I remember.
I just think I also had another contemplation this morning with like challenges. Obviously, on this midweek, I had 2, like a D1 and a D2 in season. I was happy with, and then I had a D3 if I wanted to use it with an old goalie. So it'd have been 4 outfielders. I could have done it. Like I could have put 4 outfielders with him. I think it was Sean Johnson at home to Columbus. Not a great matchup, but whatever. Could have done an in season. Obviously, at that point, I'm not expecting to win anything in that D3, but can I hit a box, right? That's a 50% chance. 50% of the prize pool will win boxes. But then I looked at, what Classic, like I built I built my 2 main in seasons, and then I went, okay, I have Sean Johnson, old, Classic. Let me see what the best Classic team I can build is. I go and look over there, and it's a lot better. It's just, Rusnak and whoever. Like it was a good 4. Davidson Sanchez, like good matchups. Galatasaray boys up front, like it was a way better team than the in season. But is it the question is now, like, is it twice as good? Because it kind of needs to be twice as good, right? Because you've got 25% boxes in Classic and you've got 50% in season. So, was my in season lineup with the very mediocre outfield 4 with Sean Johnson, was it twice as bad, or whatever way you want to look at it, than the Classic version? The Classic was a D2, but whatever. It's just an interesting, like, that's the contemplation now. Like, if you're looking at like your last lineup and there's a few scraps in there, I look at that D2 lineup I built and I go, like, it could win. Like, I'm not saying it's like the best lineup out there, but it's like it's a fine enough lineup. I don't know if I can see if I can get it up. Classic. So it's Sean Johnson, Davison Sanchez, it's Jordan Morris, Yaimar, like best matchup, God matchup for Seattle, and then Gaston Jimenez away to Nashville. Not a great matchup. I took Rusnak out, actually. I put him in the season. But like it's a fine enough matchup. Like it's not great, it's fine. Compared to the Division 3 in season I would have put out, it wouldn't have looked anywhere near as good as those 4 outfielders. But like I kind of said, you needed to be twice as good, really, because
in Classic.
Yeah, because obviously only 25% get boxes. So, which I think it is. I think it is twice as good. So that's kind of why I went with the classic comp. I think it's maybe better than twice as good.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I think, I'm not saying it's going to win it, but it could just pop. Whereas whereas I obviously haven't showed you the in-season one, but that in-season one, you just kind of know sometimes. Like, it's not going to be that great,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, at worst, it gets a box. But at least in season, you do have that 50% buffer. Like, that makes a very bad lineup not need to be that good because you have the 50% cushion where you don't have it in classic. So that's also another funky one. Like you said, you might have to, merge yours this weekend. But then, if they merge and they go into classic, well, it needs to be a half decent classic lineup to get into that 25% at a minimum. So I don't know. I think that maybe gets overlooked sometimes if people are building like their last lineup, if that makes sense.
I think you're actually making it closer than it actually is. Like, I think you have to be better than 2 times better in classic. Like, there are more lineups.
Probably,
there are a lot of cards that like appear in classic that don't necessarily appear in season as often. And so I apologize because I really don't like to do this. But I'm going to do it anyway. So I had a Division 1. I had a 1 Division 1 entry and 2 Division 2 entries in contender in season this past game week.
Yeah.
I put like the team that I thought was best in Division 1. This shouldn't surprise anybody. I put this team in to win a box.
Wow.
And I finished second with this Necaxa stack with Colidio from River Plate. Looking further here, Necaxa had 27% possession.
Wow.
And Colidio did not start.
Jesus.
This is why sometimes you just got to throw it into D1. $1,000 right there.
That's the thing, right? You do all the matchups, you do all the calculations and projections in your head, but sometimes luck's on your side. Like, you just need a Mexican team at home to get quite lucky, and
they weren't even like big favorites too.
I can't imagine they would be, right? Because that's ridiculous possession at home.
At home.
Yeah.
So this was another one that I had. This was in 5th place. This was my D2 entry. So I knew River Plate was rotating. Paulo Diaz wasn't playing, but
right.
There was a small chance Armani didn't play. Like, he got that he would get rotated. Selnes here came on at halftime also.
Wow. I mean, that team's marginally matchup wise, you'd like to think better, right?
So
kind of. River Plate defensive stack and Felipe, and
it was basically between these two.
Right.
And the only reason I went with this one in D1 is because I was worried about significant River Plate rotation. And then this is my other one, which this guy Bovink gave up 3 goals on Friday, and I was like, okay, that's dead.
Yeah, take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah, I think you just need to. Ben said Unsane was a good reward. That's right.
Yeah, true. What you wanted.
So yeah, I won that for finishing first in D2 contender. I love contender, Harry. You've been making fun of me for weeks, but I just love it.
I think you love it because you're not doing the European route,
Probably.
That's why it's fun. Not for you, but maybe in general. I think it is that part is fun because you're sneaking yourself into there. Where you can't sneak yourself.
The only main European card I had was this bozo who had the error led to goal.
Not the Brazilian Pele.
Right.
Never trust a Dutch Pele. I'll just leave it as that.
Mm-hmm. Adrian said I won contender Div 1 limited in season with a similar River Plate stack. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just think we spoke about on a previous stream, didn't we? You can cheat yourself into contender right now. You can kind of do it in Challenger as well with MLS and stuff, but that sort of cheating your way in doesn't exist elsewhere. So I don't think you'd have. I know you play champ, but you don't play champ in season yet or whatever, and I don't know whether you have plans to do that. I just don't think that's your type of play. That's just not. You're not niche, but that's just not what you like to do on this platform, and that's fine because there's so many other things you can do on here. And contender allows you to do that, especially right now with all the Argentinian leagues, Mexican leagues. I think that does, we know that gets overlooked. People forget those leagues even exist realistically.
Yeah.
Like,
Mike said, what about Graziano Pele? I haven't heard that name in a while.
wow.
He'll always be a Southampton guy to me.
Southampton boy, yeah. He was Italian though, wasn't he? Yeah.
Still is.
Still is, yeah. Didn't lose his citizenship, yeah. Still got it.
It wouldn't shock me if he was still playing.
How old
Let's
is
see
Pele?
how old he is.
Gotta be like 36.
39.
Wow. Okay.
All right. I guess I would be surprised. He played last played for Parma. Oh, he played for Shandong Luneng, same as Vaco.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I had no idea. Oh, I guess I did remember he went to China. 52 goals in 106 games
In China.
in China.
That's impressive. 1 and 2.
That is pretty good. Anyway, do you find yourself like buying cards often for lineups? Like if you had like a good lineup, but it's like missing a piece, are you going to go buy one?
Yeah, I think that comes down to, for me anyway, right now, is just like better in my collections in season. Like I have one champ collection, Nice, and then one challengers, Genk. There's still like little pieces that I'm missing. There's a few bigger pieces that I'm missing in Genk, in Nice. Like for example, this weekend, they play Saint Etienne at home. So like that's the first, ever since I've had this Nice collection, they've had some terrible matchups. Like I've not had a good one yet. And this is like the week where they're at home. Yeah. But I don't have like Klaus, for example, who's like the most popping right back,
Sure,
or the most popping defender. I don't have a forward from these because I have Ito. I have do I have Ito? No, what's
but he doesn't play for them.
Yeah, I have a Reims like forwards stack basically, and they're playing PSG. So it's just like, that's the issue when you're sort of split stacking.
Still like
Is it an issue? Yeah, they're at home though. They're at home, so maybe. They had a double decisive last weekend, but I didn't play them together. Anyway, 96th minute. But yeah, like I'm in a situation now where I'm like, this is probably the week. They have the 1 of 100s, get myself a Bogle 1 of 100. I mean, Klaus 1 of 100 might be a bit expensive, but like this is the, I do need to improve it because otherwise I'm going to lose. I might lose out on probably one of the better opportunities this season for that stack to maybe, the semi stack or whatever to do something for me. But yeah, I'll only like I am a bit of a sucker to buy for buying cards. Sorry, in like international breaks, as we know, with the Iraq right backs and Czechoslovakian centre halves, and it happens. But like, no, I'd say I'm less likely to do it now in like for the weekends, just because I have cards left over. I'm having goalkeepers left over these days, which is just beyond my wildest dreams.
So yeah, it's one of those you're just like,
what am I doing? Like I have goalies left. Like that's not right. Like Bologna this weekend, I know he might not have played, but little things like that where like I do have things left over where, go back a year ago, I was putting in like 3 lineups, like or 4 lineups maybe. So it's just like, it's a big difference. And that, in itself has made me have to, not understand prioritization and stuff, but like I'd never had to do it before. Like I just put in my under 23 rare pro, I put in my under 23 rare, maybe if I had it, and I put my cat modes in, and that was me. Like it was like 6 lineups max. And so yeah, I've the way I play the game now for me is way more fun. Like I love building lineups now. I love having an abundance of lineups, and that maybe coincides with the fact that we now have boxes, and this maybe it makes a lot more sense now to have more lineups because there's a farming element where before there weren't really, like it was just cap 240 basically. Like that was the only farm open. Like now the farm's everywhere, crops everywhere, and there's just loads going on where before there just wasn't that much going on. So
yeah.
I just play the game differently now, and I like it. Like I'm not sort of bashing it. I love how it works now. As far as how we have all the regions and stuff, and the multi-entry. Like it's an easier game, but it's also more complicated in ways as well, right?
Agreed. You mentioned something, and I want to bring this up. This was a question from Merck way back. It said, is stacking lineups always the play? I have a few different clubs that I targeted last year: Chelsea, Girona, Freiburg, etc. Or there's scenarios where it makes sense to break them up a little. I think for a vast majority of teams, it makes sense to break them up.
100%.
Like, other than I'm trying to think of how many teams are like reasonably like where you're not getting a significant upgrade from someone else, like not on the team. Like you could probably stack. Can you even stack Real Madrid? Are the midfielders good enough anymore?
Valverde is 100 capable.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. He is.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
PSV,
slim pickings. PSV's fine because you have.
Bayern.
I mean, if you fancy Kimmich, I guess you could play Musiala mid if you really wanted to.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios. Even like you look at matchups, like most matchups, we see it all the time. It was like AZ on the weekend led. They won 9-1, right? So like, yeah, you put like Troy Parrott 100, great. Whoever else 100, great. I'm sure the defenders scored well. There's probably decisives everywhere, but like the goalie didn't get a clean sheet.
Mm-hmm.
We know this is a thing Sean speaks about with PSV a lot. They concede sometimes, and he doesn't even when he doesn't concede, he might not score that well because he's just not that busy. But a lot of the time, like if I look at a good fixture for buying at home, that doesn't mean it's a good fixture for buying defensive stacks at home. Like little things like that. It's just like it's so hard to really predict. But most of the time, if a team smashes, they normally concede a consolation goal. It just happens, and like that's where the full stack is at a detriment to the split stack because the split stack might have a defensive stack from somebody that did keep a clean sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I think this weekend, Napoli, I've seen somebody like smash with Napoli because they kept a clean sheet. It was like 4-0 away from home, maybe. And like everyone smashed, like midfielders, forwards, whatever, defenders, goalies. It was like a full sort of, but like normally that game's a 4-1. Like they're away from home. Like you rarely see it that the team just go on a clean sheet run and score multiple goals. Like it rarely happens. And I think that's, you kind of do it with your River Plate boys. Like you don't really try. I know Calidio scored there, but I never really see you play River Plate forwards realistically. Like you're playing the defensive stack. Like that is why you play River. You don't care how many they score. You care how many they don't score. Don't concede, sorry.
Yeah.
And so
they always concede.
They didn't used to. You've had a few good weeks.
I have, you're right. This is the Napoli team. Like they had 2 defenders with at least 96.8.
It's ridiculous.
Midfield's a little.
But you can play Kavicha midfield.
Kavicha midfield, you're right.
But yeah, I agree. Yeah, outside
Lukaku,
of that,
he probably had negative AA, didn't he?
Probably, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. 80 points with 3 decisives.
Like away from home, I know Calgary aren't up to much, but like you couldn't have really foreseen 4. I don't know. I don't watch the Italian league that in depth, but like, and I know Napoli are half decent, but Jesus, there's some massive scores there. Like that double defensive stack is just so like if you had Di Lorenzo and Buongiorno and obviously Meret, like it doesn't really. I know Kavicha and Lukaku have scored above 80 each, but like there was better forwards and mids than them, obviously.
Yeah.
Like that defensive stack, there's probably no better defensive stack that weekend than Napoli. 200s and a 78. Doesn't really get much better, I don't think. Unless a goalie have scored 100 and the 2 outfielders have scored 100, right? 300 points.
Right.
That's the only upgrade, really, because, yeah, you obviously can't beat 100. 96 is obviously beatable, but I don't know. I just think that rarely happens, though, for me.
Agreed.
It just doesn't. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but these teams just concede. We see it with City. I know Edison had an assist, like bailed him out or whatever. I think he had an error led to goal, actually. But just like, like you look at City at home to Brentford and you go, surely it's a clean sheet. And then the game happens and it's just not. Like, it's just not a clean sheet. And Haaland still scores a couple, but the whole 5 just doesn't normally work. It can do, but I think to play on the safer side, I think defensive stacks from a different team most of the time is the way to go if you have them.
Totally agree. Going back to the goalie thing, Andy said having tons of goalkeepers now is a good strategy. They're not insanely expensive like they used to be, and it always feels like the biggest position affected by matchups, which I think it's exactly that. Brad said goalkeeper is always the hardest for me to predict. Who saw Murich's 93 coming this weekend?
But like
we saw it come in 3 weeks ago, and then
I know. Yeah, was it against Liverpool? We put on. I can't remember who they were. It was somebody, wasn't it? Like we know Muric has that in him. Like if Brighton weren't going to score, Muric was going to score basically 100 points, and they didn't score. I know that happening was obviously not as likely as them scoring a couple, because everyone, you'd like to have thought that Brighton would have scored 1 or 2 goals at least. But that's the upside with a Muric. Like, he's going to get 38 plus the clean sheet if he gets the clean sheet. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is that guy. Like, he can do that. And it happened for him. Like, he hit the 5% chance of, outcome, basically.
Yep. I was looking, finally, we're able to pull it up. This is the last weekend for just Serie A. Like, Florian Thauvin scored more than Kavica and Lukaku.
Yeah. Pulisic as well.
Yeah.
But then, okay, is that every position?
Serie A. I don't know why we don't have a champion in here.
Yeah,
but
that's weird.
Yeah.
So they basically scored, outside of Thauvin, two best defenders with both Napoli. What about keepers? Milinkovic, Savic, 80. And then Meret second, maybe, or third?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, second. Pretty low scoring week for goalkeepers in Serie A there, right?
Yeah, really.
Kind of. Yeah. I guess half don't get a clean sheet, so yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
Like, only half can really score that well most of the time.
Yeah. I don't know. Goalie's always a,
it's a funny one, isn't it?
Shit show. Yeah. Ben said, I did a Celtic stack with a Peruli goalkeeper and hit 8th as Jose Carvalho beat Schmeichel.
Wow. That's impressive.
Harry, do you think they'll give up a goal this season?
Celtic?
Yeah.
Are they actually not giving up a goal? No.
Not a single one.
Wow.
I'm not even sure an opposing team has gotten a shot on target yet, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, that's worrying because they've already played Rangers, haven't they? Once.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, surely to God someone scores. But maybe not. I mean, Casper is a better goalie than Joe Hart, so. And their defense is good, so I don't know. It's a really tough one.
Fabian said Napoli-Milan this weekend. That's fun.
There's some big games this weekend, like Gala-Fena. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, I did see that one, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of dodgy ones. Club Brugge plays somebody half decent, I think.
River Plate plays somebody tough. Because because they've got midweek. They're away to Boca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's tough. I think
they're away to Colo Colo this midweek for Libertadores, then away to Boca, and then home against Colo Colo the following week.
Oh, wow.
Midweek.
Busy couple of weeks. Hatligen says there about the goalkeeper decisive. I can't remember if I read that. Who did that? Somebody made a.
It was Bihab, who I usually disagree with on everything because they always talk about late swap, which I don't want. But the goalie one was interesting. Yeah.
I did read a bit of it now. It's coming back to me. Yeah. Yeah, something needs to be done about goalies, I think, in general. I don't know whether this is what he's proposed, but like, they just feel like they are just the most stale position, aren't they? Like, they're not fun to own. Like, you don't go into a game week thinking, oh, I can't wait for my goalie to like get 30 AA. Or like, there's just like no upside in like thinking about a goalkeeper doing well. Like, you're kind of so shocked they do, Like,
yeah, and you don't even celebrate when they get a clean sheet. It's just relief.
Yeah, like massive. I think just don't do anything with possession with them. Just let them kick the ball as far as they want. Like, who cares if they give the ball away? Like,
who cares?
If this outside of their 18-yard box, like,
that's it. I was just about to say, as long as it goes like out of the box.
Who cares? Because like, you put a ball up to the opposing center half, and he heads out for a throw in, and you're in the opposition half, the opposition team's 18-yard box area. Like, that is amazing. Like, the goalkeeper staff will be like clapping, going, "What a kick! Like, great distance." And like, it's a good thing in real life. So surely we need that to reflect a little bit. I don't know. I just don't think they need to be penalized for any of that. And then on the flip side, don't be praised either. Like, just keep it, like, just don't let them touch the ball. Don't worry about what they do with their feet.
And it's like a double penalty too, because it's missed pass and possession lost. And it's
ridiculous.
It's awful. Quinny said there's no Celtic this weekend because it's the Cup.
Yeah, there's only 2 SPFL teams playing this weekend because of the Cup.
Daniel said some managers literally want them to hoof it. They're doing exactly what their coaches are telling them to do.
It's so frustrating because there's big points being given up. Like, I bet you on average it's like 5 to 10 negative AA on most goalies every game. All right, like in that range, some between the passes and the possession. Because like double it up, like it really does add up. Howell says, I think clean sheet should be minimum 70. Like a dub.
I'm out. I'm out on that.
You out?
I feel, because I actually don't want goalies to be like more impactful on the game. Like everything they do is so dependent, like score wise, everything they do is so dependent on everyone else that it like, like two center backs run into each other and now it's a one, clear goal. It's like the goalie has nothing to do with that. He concedes. Like obviously he's penalized for it, but I don't know.
The one thing they should get rid of though is the whole like they conceded 3 points, like -3 for each goal, and then like on the third goal, isn't it? Like they get the -3 plus the
plus
negative
that, yeah.
decisive.
But it does feel like just each goal you allow should be
just give it each goal, and then what, a no clean sheet decisive? Is that what that Medium Post said? I can't remember what exactly.
I think so, yeah.
Proposed.
Alan just said the first and third goals conceded are way too impactful. It's funny that you say that the first one is, because like they haven't really earned anything until 60 minutes. Like they haven't earned the first one. So like if you go from 35 to 32, like is that impactful? Like I get it because you're counting the clean sheet as 60, but I don't know. I'm looking Armani last week, who conceded on the only shot he faced, by the way, or only shot on target, lost 4 points from 8 goal kicks. -2.4 for possession loss, -1.6 for missed pass.
That's quite low, I think. Like 8 goal kicks isn't even, I don't know.
They dominated this game, Harry. It's infuriating that he conceded. Literally the only shot, they had one shot on target. It went in. River Plate had 61% possession.
Jesus.
But
that is literally the epitome of like, good matchups. Like they just will concede a goal from a set piece or something, like
something stupid like that.
Yeah, and it kills your defensive stack or it kills your goalkeeper's clean sheet because he's not busy in the game. Like he can't make up that lack of clean sheet. That's the big issue, isn't it? Like,
hey, you just get a penalty.
Who did?
No, I'm saying like,
right,
you save a penalty. That's how you get
yeah, but like Jesus, like to hope for that to happen is just like
I'm sorry.
He probably gives a pen away probably in that sense.
So again, conceded on the only shot on target he faced. I was 40 points from first.
Basically win it.
No, it's possible the other lineups ahead of me had Armani, so it's like, in fact, they probably did, but
yeah, that's tough. It is really tough. But you see people do it with Benitez, don't you? Someone said in the chat that they did it with Schmeichel. Like,
yep.
I get it because you differentiating yourself from that keeper that, like, at best probably gets a clean sheet. At worst, he concedes a goal. Like, the upside isn't there for a Benitez at home to like the worst team in the league because at best all he can do is get a clean sheet. Where like other keepers in like tougher matchups on paper will just be busier and they might outdo him on AA alone. So like the lazy pick is Benitez, but if you've got other options that might be a bit more risky, but ultimately they have more ceiling, more upside than you in the game we play these days with the amount of collection bonuses and all that, captain bonuses. Like you can't play it safe basically. Like if you really want to win.
I was looking back at this Ezekiel Unsane game. So they had, this is actually crazy, 27% possession, and he made 1 save.
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't watch this game, but that's
loads of shots off target, maybe, or something.
I guess, yeah. No, they only had 9 shots. I don't know. I didn't watch. Halligan said, same for me this weekend with Neuer. If he had saved the 1 shot he faced, he would have been first in Classic D1.
It's tough because, like, you just know those keepers, Neuer at home to the bottom of the league, Benitez at home, they ain't going to be busy. Like, and if they are called into action, they're probably going to, like, not say, like, they just, for whatever reason, can see goals. Like, they just don't keep the clean sheets as much as you think they're going to on paper. And it's just tough. Like, I don't know.
I think there's an argument from Sorare that they like the variance that goalkeepers provide. That like other positions, not that it's like easy to project like decisive actions, but because the goalie variance is so out there that it kind of keeps the game more exciting for some people.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you did do what Howell said there, and like gave extra decisive for clean sheet merchants, if that makes sense, like, yeah, I think it bridges the gap. Then is huge, isn't it, between like the stars? But then that's what Sorare want, don't they? I don't know. Sorare want stars to be stars, so do they want Edison to be a star?
No, they're no stars, and they're no goalkeeper stars. Anyone who's curious, Al Hilal up 3-0 at halftime. João Cancelo already at 100.
Jesus. So where could you play him? All star, I guess.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Malcolm.
114 in the first half.
Wow.
There's no way he
crazy.
had 4 tackles. Get out of here.
The Sart's on the other team led.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, Trezeguet?
Gabriel Pereira, the New York City guy.
No.
Yep.
Wow.
This guy went to jail, Joshua Brennett. I swear he was in jail like a couple of months ago.
That's just so funny how you're like, hey, this guy went to jail.
Yeah. Roger Guedes.
Hoodwink, I completely agree with this comment here. He said, I think watching a game live and sweating a goalie clean sheet is the least fun I have on Sorare.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. It's
I will say,
infuriating.
is there anything more infuriating than maybe you wake up earlier than I do, but I wake up and I see the Sorare notification that Nishikawa has a clean sheet after 60 minutes.
Oh,
and then
no.
It's not even that. Just like, and there's never another one an hour, 30 minutes later that he has the clean sheet.
Oh my God. Yeah, those notifications aren't fun to wake up to most of the time. Overnight clean sheet sweats. Whew.
It happened to me recently. It might have been Armani, because it usually is. That I got the notification and I was in first somewhere, and I was like, as long as he keeps the clean sheet, I'm fine. And like seconds later, it was
what's his name? I only know this because I literally remember I was out for a walk and you text me. It was the one that used to be at River Plate, but you have 2 of his cards.
Petroli, that's right.
It was Petroli,
and it was an error led to goal.
Yeah, instantly.
That's
But
right.
you were like, I'm in first or whatever. And I was like, oh my God. And then literally 15 seconds later, I saw error led to goal. And it was just like, when was the last time Petroli had an error led to goal? Can we have a look at that, please, Led? Live on air?
I completely forgot that it was Petroli.
I feel like he's never had an error led to goal.
Ever in the history of Sorare.
I just don't, like, he seems to be so sturdy.
Maybe 2 here. Let's see.
Okay.
There's that one.
Okay, red card doesn't count.
Yeah, this one.
Fair. Okay. 1 in a... Oh, he didn't really play before that, did he?
Yeah.
2
in 28 is actually not that great.
It's not great.
Oh, that was killer. What was that? Game week 506? I have 2 of them too, which makes it even worse.
But didn't you tweet about it before? No.
I don't think it was before.
No,
I think
it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm not that stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Contender surely was in. Here he is. It was this lineup right here. No. Sorry, this one.
It was that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the Barco up score. Remember?
Yep. Oh, that's right. It was delayed scoring on Barco. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
You had it, and it was like,
yeah.
8th
before Petroli even played.
Wow. Yeah.
I think I was 2nd when he started, and then as you can see, I finished 55th.
The swing is unbelievable, isn't it, on a keeper? Like what that can do to you and a lineup is brutal. It really is.
I wonder what I won there. Surely nobody I've ever heard of. That a bot probably has right now. 506. Oh yeah. I might still. Nope. I got rid of this card. It was this guy.
Naraki. Yeah. I thought he left, but maybe not.
I have no idea. He's gone. I sent it to Sir Hits.
Nice. Yeah, we hate keepers is basically the takeaway of today's stream.
Mike said, I've turned the has a clean sheet notification off. The pain is easier than having hope. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, how did you do that? On Sorare?
Yeah.
I guess you might not have the Sorare app, and maybe he means turn it off on SD. Because if you didn't have the Sorare app...
I didn't even know we had that on Sorare data.
Oh, you have something
60 minutes?
Okay. I don't know. I don't have it on Sorare. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I just have it on Sorare. I don't have any. I never put notification on my Sorare. I don't want to know. I just like, just let me open the app and see if it's decisive.
See if
If there's
yeah.
not, then I just get on with my day.
I get them just for my players. And so
Okay.
I don't get many notifications, to be honest.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the October special event calendar at all?
Is it the one with the Eredivisie, or is that like this month? If that makes
That's
sense.
this month's. The
Yeah, I
October one
can't-
is Austria and Croatia
Hey,
special weeklies. But I was more
yeah.
looking at the all-star stuff. Like I wonder if, I guess that's a midweek all-star.
Okay.
Anti-stacks, that's going to be a global comp.
I'll be honest. I like, going back to what we said at the start of the stream. Like, I'm such a regions guy now. Like, my leftovers go into the classic. The specials most of the time. If we're talking like the European comp specials and stuff, then yeah, obviously I have a few in-season bits to go in there. But like, yeah, as far as like All Star, I'm just happy to see them on Friday if I have leftovers, which I normally do these days, which is obviously a good thing. But yeah, I can't like say that I like look forward to those type of things. I know you said some of them are midweeks.
Yeah. What was I just?
But I'm in a weird position where like under 23 is always open, right? So it's like,
That's
yeah,
fair.
at worst, I know I've always got something. These are
Mhm.
just bonuses for my little, specific gallery.
How far ahead do you make your lineups? Like, do you have any built for this weekend?
I don't have anything built. No, I like just going in. Like I'll go in daily and just like tinker and just see how like things are looking, because there's so many things riding on midweeks now, as in like players are playing and Champions Leagues, and there's so many things you have to worry about if you have players playing both midweek and weekend. So yeah, I'll never like fully build until Thursday night. But yeah, I'll go in. I'm on it all day basically. Like sort of like, yeah, as long as the projections update on Sora data and I see my A's come in and maybe my double A's and whatever, like I'll tinker with things and I'll have a good idea of what I want to do by the end of Thursday. But so much hinges on like players not getting injured and players not playing minutes or playing minutes midweek. It now becomes really tough to like do your lineups really early. I don't know. If I do my lineups today, let's say I did 20 lineups today, I'll guarantee you they're deleted by tomorrow and I'll do them again. Like I just like doing them again. Because there's always something I miss and this player plops up, and there'll never be a time ever where I've put a team in on, deadline opened or, game week opened Tuesday. There's no way I haven't tinkered by Friday. Like there's just impossible, like absolutely impossible.
You delete them instead of doing a new draft?
Love deleting them. I don't know why. I used to do multiple drafts. I'll admit I did. But now with like the button thing, I don't want to like not export the right one, and I'm a bit scared of that. So I just like going fresh. I got a weird thing. Like I love just doing them all and then deleting them, and then doing them all again and deleting them until on Thursday. That's like I've done them all. They won't be deleted. They'll be exported. So yeah, I'm just kind of just building an image in my head of like where I need to prioritize this week, who's fit, who's not, and I love tracking. If who is projected to start. And honestly, I love lineup building. I think it's the most fun thing to do.
I'm totally on board with that.
I love it. I think it's the best part of the game, like the game for me. Like I like buying cards and stuff or whatever, but I love building lineups. I don't know why. I couldn't give you the exact reason why. You might be able to articulate it a bit better than me if you like it as well. But I just don't. There's not another part of the game that I love more. I guess it's the most important part, really, isn't it? So like, unless you're a trader and you trade, but it is the most important part. And I don't know. I really enjoy it. And I love, like I said, I wouldn't do it every day if I didn't enjoy it.
I think the only thing I like more is buying super rare goalkeepers. I love that.
I love it when you buy super rare goalkeepers that don't start and they turn into stars.
That's nice. That's never happened to me before. No, I think it kind of goes back to the whole prioritization thing, that the lineup building, like last week, all of my lineups were built on Tuesday.
Wow. What, they
like
didn't
for the weekend.
Didn't change at all.
No, I definitely changed. I'm just saying, like, I literally went in on Tuesday. I will probably do it today and just see how many lineups I could have. And I'll tinker from there. But that process I really like. And having like the reason why I don't delete everything is because I like being able to kind of like move things around and seeing like, oh, if I put this guy here and this guy here, like it's just easier for me to do that. I mean, that's probably just the way that my head works.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mike brings up that you have the job of hosting Sean's lineup building stream.
Yeah.
If you have 6 hours free.
I couldn't think of anything less enjoyable than watching Sean build his lineups. I'll say it. I just you'd have to pay me big money to watch that. To host it?
Wow, not even to host it?
I think I'd want 5 figures. Minimum.
Why though? Is it about not wanting to watch somebody build 97 lineups, or is it like a lot of like content that you do though is lineup building.
Yeah.
Your own lineups, other people's
right.
lineups.
Yeah. Like I love building my own lineups. I enjoy building other people's lineups, but I don't think I'd enjoy watching Sean build his lineups, if that makes sense. And it's not just a knock on Sean. I don't think I don't watch anyone build
a knock on Sean. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean it's semi a knock on Sean, but I'm only playing. But like, yeah, genuinely, I don't enjoy because I do it. That's probably because I do it all the time. Like I don't want to watch other people do it. Like to be fair, I did watch Quinny's stream this morning. Well, not whilst it was live, but after, like just as background noise. Like I'll watch it, but I won't. You know, like I'm not engaged in it. I just like hearing him talk or whatever, or like whoever talking. But yeah, I don't think I could do 6 because Sean's would take a while, wouldn't it? Let's be real. Like it would take a while. And that's coming from like a perspective of Sean's taught me a lot already. You know, like since like I've been good friends with Sean for a few years now, and early on, like he really did help me. Like I would ask him about things, and like this is when I weren't nowhere near as sort of well versed in just lineup building and Sorare itself, fantasy football. Like I was all new to it all, And he really helped me. I'll give that him. Like he really, really helped me. Don't take risk where you don't need to. Lots of obvious things, but things that like
sometimes you need to hear that from somebody else.
Yeah, like you need that drilled into you, and then you have to put it into practice. Like thinking it is different than actually doing it in your 5-man lineup and not taking the risk. And I'll still, fall victim to it now and again. But he's taught me so much. So like, there wouldn't be much that like Sean on a stream now could like teach me, if that makes sense.
Sure.
That's the issue. It might definitely help people in that haven't had that contact time with him, if that makes sense. Like like in Discord or whatever, like where I've spoken to him over the years. And so yeah, he is I'm sure he would be valuable for a lot actually. But for me personally, yeah, I don't think I could want to sit through that.
Ben said I heard Sean uses the suggest a lineup button 97 times.
Oh my God.
I will say that the funny thing about Sean is that he is adamant about using the Sorare data lineup builder, and also adamant that he completely ignores pick scores and he ignores pick scores, which just teaches people that you can use the lineup builder and not utilize every single little thing that's in there.
Yeah, I told you, didn't I? I said I weren't a massive fan. Like the opposition score like throws me off sometimes. Like that's one of my downfalls. Like if I see like a very low opposition score and like a good player, I get worried. I'm like, why is the opposition score that low? And then you have to remind yourself, well, the team that the player I'm picking from, might be better than the team they've already played. So like it could be irrelevant, if that makes sense, right? So like, but that doesn't show you. Like you have to keep reminding yourself that. So. Well, for me anyway. So that's why sometimes I like to just move my screen over a little bit and just not look at the picks, the opposition score, because I just don't want that to come into effect when I'm picking a player. I don't want that to be a variable.
So Harry basically uses the lineup builder like this.
Yeah.
Like he just literally will move his screen so he can't see the opponent's score. I can't even like zoom it correctly. There we go.
So I don't zoom it. I just move my like. So like come.
Yeah, you just move it across the screen.
Yeah.
Can I even do that? Oh, I can't.
You could if you came out of like full screen. I think.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Daniel, the answer is no. You can't hide anything in the lineup builder. He said I get too influenced from pick scores. Actually, if you want to do that, just change use the advanced tab or the form tab.
I do like the form tab as well. The ceiling thing's quite interesting to look at a lot of the time. but then you forget, like, okay, have I done it on L15, 5, 40? Because like what happened last year doesn't really matter. Like there's things that, you need to, I guess this is a stream in itself. Maybe next week we'll do like a lineup building, not like we build lineups, but just kind of, build lineups, but look at what information we find, most relevant, and what influences our picks. So I'm sure there's a stream there, maybe.
Yeah.
Look at me doing your job for you.
You do my job like 90% of the time, Harry. Cameron said pick scores are not great. All right, we'll just get rid of them.
Scrap them for Cam.
Mike said, I love it when he gives you an opponent score of 60 on a player that doesn't break 45. So the opponent score has nothing to do with the player.
Right, yeah. It's to do
literally
with the players that have played.
Other than the position he plays.
Right, yeah.
Looking for food. If you can find somebody who will host Sean, I'm sure they would be appreciative of you watching them. But I'm not sitting through it.
I think I would host him and have to go out for a walk with you, Led. I'll do my Sorare steps.
Speaking of that, let's finish on that.
Yeah.
Starting on Friday. Today's Tuesday. I guess those of you who maybe be catching up on this later. Starting Friday. Sorry, I was pulling up the tweet here. I'm going to take 10,000 steps, at least 10,000 steps a day, every day for 8 weeks. And if you'd like to join, do it. I actually haven't clicked on hashtag Sorare steps. It's going to be really bad when I click on that and it turns out to be something else. I don't know what else it would be, but yeah, if anybody wants to get involved, take your steps. Harry's in. I've tried this many times and have not gotten very far, both geographically and in a streak of how long I'll do it. But I decided to put it on Twitter so that everybody, I don't think anybody's actually going to hold me accountable, but maybe this at least helps me keep myself accountable. So if anybody wants to join, come on in. Why not?
I love it. I love it. I'm in.
Ian said, I'm genuinely shocked people don't do 10,000 steps a day. Ian, you'll be shocked how many people get like 2,000 steps a day.
Yeah, that is a lot. 10K is a lot. Like
10K, like you gotta try.
In one 10K. Sitting. Double decisive Led. Don't worry about it.
Who
do you think?
I don't even know who's playing right now.
I'm joking. Galatasaray, Dries Mertens, and Yilmaz, but I don't have him in the same lineup. But that's fine.
Why not?
I had Mertens in season, and he's a classic. So, and Weston McKennie just scored for Juve.
Who? McKennie?
Weston McKennie. Yeah,
wow.
They're 2-0 up already against PSV.
Wow. See, Sorare Judy says on working days I have 1,000 when I get home at 4 p.m.
It's tough. 10K is not easy to do. Like you need 2 hours of walking almost.
Tom said, I have a border collie. I think I'd be murdered in my sleep if I didn't get 10,000 steps in a day.
That's walking. A great excuse.
Dogs definitely help.
Yeah.
For sure. MLS Sorare Scott says, a new app, fitness app that sends your most valuable card to Pavel if you fail to hit your step total in whatever streak you're going for. Why does
what about? Yeah, why does Pavel? What about Sorare steps and we earn SO coins? Every 10K steps, 10K coins. Bring them back.
We're supposed to get that. Supposed to get that update soon, right?
What was that? Mid end of September.
Sometime in September. It's going to be the 31st, which doesn't exist. That's what's going to happen. Anyway, thank you to everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. And for those of you who are listening to this on a walk, way to be. Get those steps in. And Sorare, you're burning calories and cards. Smart. That's what we're all doing here. Enough of the burning cards. Let's burn some calories. Anyway, thank you to everybody. And see you tomorrow.